In a quiet suburban neighborhood, the sun rises over identical houses. Among them lives Mark, an ordinary man with a routine life. His day starts like any other mundane morning. Mark heads to his garage where his trusty sedan awaits. He starts the engine, and the low hum of the car fills the air. The commute to his office is a familiar route he's taken countless times. As Mark merges on the highway, he's met with ice from all of rush hour traffic. Cars line up bumper to bumper. Moving at a crawl, Mark's mind drifts as he listens to the monotonous drone of engines. Finally arriving at the office, Mark parks his car in the same spot he always does. The parking lot is filled with rows of vehicles, each as unremarkable as the next. He locks his car and heads inside. Mark's workday is a series of spreadsheets, meetings, and emails. The hours seem to blend together, punctuated only by the occasional glimpse out the window at the parked cars below. At lunchtime, Mark steps out to his car to eat his packed sandwich. He reclines the seat slightly and eats in solitude, the radio providing some background noise. As the workday ends, Mark heads back to his car, his coworkers following suit. The parking lot comes to life as people start their engines and begin the journey home. On his way home, Mark stops by the grocery store. He loads bags of groceries into the trunk of his car, making sure not to forget the essentials on his list. Back in his neighborhood, Mark waves to his neighbors as he drives past. The houses all look the same, with cars parked neatly in driveways blending in seamlessly with the environment. Mark's evening is spent in much the same way as his morning. He cooks dinner, watches TV, and prepares for another day that promises to be just as routine as the last. The best sell I shop nest offering bring prom like actions offering China kind of mal following the work week. Mark's plans mirrors of previous weekends, running errands, doing yard work, and drinking a short drive around the neighborhood. On Sunday, Mark takes his car to the local car wash. The automated machines scrub away the dirt and grime, restoring the car's shine. Mark watches, half absorbed in the process. Late at night, Mark takes a drive through the empty streets. The road stretches ahead, illuminated by the glow of streetlights. He finds certain calmness in the solitude. At a family gathering, conversation inevitably turns to cars. Mark listens as relatives discuss fuel efficiency, maintenance schedules, and the latest models. He nods along, his mind drifting. As the seasons change, so does Mark's routine. He adapts to snow-covered roads and the occasional rainstorm. His car remains a reliable constant in the midst of change. One weekend, Mark decides to take a longer drive out of town. He drives along a winding road, watching the scenery change from cityscape to countryside. Mark stops at a scenic overlook and steps out of his car. He gazes at the expansive landscape, taking a moment to appreciate the beauty around him. As Mark drives back home, he backs on the journey. Like Frost and Light, the longer drive provided a break from his routine, reminding him that even in the ordinary, there are opportunities for small adventures. While cleaning out his garage one day, Mark stumbles upon old photos of his car when it was new. He's reminded of the excitement he felt when he first drove it home. With each turn of the ignition, each commute, and each errand, Mark realizes that his car is more than just a means of transportation. It's a companion that has been with him through the routine of life. And so in the midst of the mundane, Mark finds a quiet satisfaction, the rhythm of his routine, and the familiarity of his car. Finds show and public knife, and Mark receives an unexpected invitation from an old friend for a weekend getaway. Excitement bubbles within him as he packs a bag and sets off in his trusty car, ready for a change of scenery. As Mark drives along the open road, he feels a sense of freedom he hasn't experienced in a while. The landscape changes as he leaves the city behind, and he relishes the sensation of exploration. Mark arrives at a charming inn nestled and picturesque village. He's greeted by the owner, who shares stories of the village, his history, and invites Mark to join in the local festivities. Throughout the weekend, Mark participates in activities he never imagined himself doing, like hiking, attending a pottery class, and dancing at a village fair. His car stands as a constant companion in his newfound adventures. During dark, strikes a conversation, a fellow guest named Sarah. They discover shared interests and stories, and Sarah's enthusiasm for life reignites Mark's sense of wonder. As thus the weekend comes to an end, Sarah returns home with a heart full of memories and a different perspective on routine. His car seems to hum with a new energy, as if it too has been rejuvenated by the journey. Back to his familiar routine, Mark begins to introduce small changes. He takes detours on his way home from work, explores nearby parks, and embraces spontaneity in his day-to-day life. Mark shares his weekend escape with his colleagues who are intrigued by his newfound enthusiasm. They begin to share their own stories of breaks from routine, fostering a sense of camaraderie As the seasons shift once more, Mark decides to embark on a solo road trip. So he plans a route that takes him through different landscapes, each representing a change in his journey of routine. During his road trip, Mark arrives at the same scenic overlook where he once paused to appreciate the view. This time, he reflects on the journey he's been on, the twists, turns, and the realization that even routine can be a source of fulfillment. And so, as the sun sets on another day, Mark finds contentment in the simple rhythm of just his routine, and infused with the memories of moments that remind him of the beauty in the ordinary. One morning, as Mark heads to work, he receives an unexpected phone call. Sarah, the friend he met during his weekend getaway, she invites him to a local photography exhibit she's curated featuring the beauty of everyday life. At the exhibit, Mark struck by the photographs capturing the essence of the way sunlight filters through leaves, the patterns of raindrops on a window, and the smiles shared between strangers. It's just an aside. Bite decides to take up photography as a hobby. It's like finds joy in capturing the details of his daily routine, the way morning light fills his kitchen, the colors of his garden, and the expressions of his friends. And through his newfound hobby, Mark forms connections with people he'd never met before. Photographing his neighborhood leads to conversations with neighbors, each sharing their unique stories. Mark compiles his photos into a journal, creating a visual diary of his routine. The journal becomes a keepsake, reminding him of the beauty that surrounds him every day. One weekend, Sarah surprises Mark with a visit. She's carrying a vintage camera as a gift, encouraging him to continue his exploration of everyday moments through a different lens. As Mark and Sarah spend time together, they realize that their shared appreciation for the ordinary has deepened their connection. Their conversations are filled with stories and laughter. Mark and Sarah collaborate on a neighborhood photography project. They invite residents to share their own snapshots of routine, creating a montage that celebrates the tapestry of everyday life. To showcase their project, Mark and Sarah organize a community gathering. The event brings neighbors together, sparking conversations and forging new friendships, all rooted in a shared appreciation for routine. As Mark looks back on his journey, he realizes that routine doesn't have to be mundane. Through photography and the connections he's made, he's discovered the extraordinary in the everyday. So as he continues his bike dive through routine, Mark's heart is filled with gratitude for the simple elements that have woven a beautiful tapestry of life. Time passes and the seasons change once again. Mark's neighborhood transforms with vibrant colors, and he captures the beauty of each season through his photography. Sarah's photography career takes off, and she's offered a job in a different city. Mark is sad to see his friend go, but knows that their bond will remain, strong despite the distance. Years later, Mark receives an invitation to an art gallery in the city where Sarah resides. He's delighted to discover that the exhibit features a collection of his and Sarah's photographs celebrating the ordinary moments they once shared. Inspired by their journey, Mark and Sarah establish a photography program for local schools. They teach students to find beauty in their surroundings and capture moments that tell their own stories. And student photography showcases Mark and Sarah see the world through the eyes of the young photographers. The photographs are a testament to the power of perspective and the beauty of routine. One day, Mark receives a letter from a student who participated in the photography program. The student shares how the experience changed their outlook on life and helped them see the magic in everyday moments. As Mark's trusty Sorrel starts showing signs of age, he decides it's time to let go. He organizes a farewell event where neighbors and friends gather to share stories of the car's role in their lives. Mark replaces his old car with a hybrid model, embracing a change that aligns with his newfound appreciation for the environment. He knows that every journey, whether routine or novel, holds its own significance. Mark's life has come full circle, and he finds himself enjoying the simple routines once again. Each morning drive to work and each evening stroll around the neighborhood are infused with gratitude and meaning. One evening, while sitting on his porch and looking through his photographic journal, Mark has an epiphany. He realizes that life itself is a collection of routine moments, each one carrying its own significance. And so, as the sun sets on another day, Mark smiles, knowing that the journey through routine was a tapestry woven with the threads of connection, beauty, and the extraordinary that lies within the ordinary.